A very good evening to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. Welcome to KUTV Primetime News. Let's keep you updated with all that has taken center stage in the country. We'll be having a discussion later on the state of the nation with Irene Kendi. But first, let's take a look at our highlights. Odinga threatens to sue Nairobi police boss over police brutality, says the protest will go on every Monday and Thursday until their demands are met. UDA allied leaders once Odinga and former President Uhuru Kenyatta charged with destruction of properties witnessed during Monday protests. Interior CS Kithure Kindiki commends the police force for managing the Azimio protest as the Human Rights Commission condemns yesterday's police brutality. And in our special feature tonight, we tell you how people living with Down syndrome survive as the world marks World Down Syndrome Day today. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm in the company of RUTH, CHEPKOECH, our sign language interpreter tonight. I am ODIDA. Remember, we are streaming this broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube at KUTV_Kenya. Let's get started. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has applauded the National Police Service for what he termed as a job well done in containing the protests that took place yesterday in various parts of the country. According to the CS, the police did their job despite provocation by unruly protesters. At the same time, the Kenya Human Rights Commission has condemned the police service, which, according to them, prevented their protesters from exercising their right to picket.
In a tweet posted on his Twitter account, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki commended the police force for containing the Azimio protests that were witnessed yesterday. According to Kindiki, the National Police Service has done the country proud despite the day-long provocation by unruly protesters. Kindiki noted that Kenya must end impunity and apply one constitution and one set of laws for everyone for enduring peace and stability of the nation. In contrary, the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, in conjunction with the Muslim for Human Rights and the Constitution Reforms Education Consortium, released a joint press statement condemning what they called prevention of citizens to exercise their rights. According to the statement, and I quote, "The conduct of the police that was characterized by unlawful arrests, excessive and violent use of force, injuries, killings and restriction of movements was uncalled for." End of quote. Following the protest, the National Police Service also released a statement to address the police conduct during the protests. The statement indicates that the purported peaceful protest turned into violent crime scenes characterized by destruction of public properties. As per the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome, the demonstration led to 25 arrests and 7 police injuries in Nyanza, 213 arrests, 24 police injuries and 10 police vehicle damages in Nairobi. With Azimio declaring every Monday and Thursday a protest day, the role of the police in the demonstrations remains unclear. Ruth Wanjiru, KU TV.
The United Democratic Alliance UDA leaders now want Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga to be held accountable for the kills and destruction of property witnessed yesterday during the mass action protest. The members of parliament have also accused former President Uhuru Kenyatta for what they say he funded the Azimio anti-governmental protests.
The President William Ruto-led party UDA members of parliament have issued a statement urging Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome to arrest all partakers of the 20th March Azimio mass protest, including the opposition leader Raila Odinga and former President Uhuru Kenyatta, whom they claim funded the protests. While addressing the media, the MPs claimed that Odinga and other Azimio leaders went against the law by declaring Monday a public holiday. According to the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, the Inspector General of Police should arrest everyone involved, including leaders and sponsors. On the issue of the planned Azimio protest on Monday and Thursday every week, the coalition claimed that the Azimio La Umoja will continue to breach peace with unlawful acts in the upcoming protest without proper accountability. In response to the protest, the coalition revealed that they plan on writing to the registrar of parties to withhold funding meant for the ODM party so as to compensate those who lost their businesses and properties. According to Azimio, the anti-governmental protests are expected to go on every Monday and Thursday starting next week until their demands are met, among them reduction of the cost of living, including restoring subsidies that existed prior to the Kenya Kwanza regime. The Azimio are also protesting against refusal to have the process of reconstituting the electoral body IEBC. Ruth Wanjiru, KU TV.
Now, Azimio One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has called upon his supporters to boycott services offered by corporate entities, amongst them Safaricom, KCB Bank and Radio Africa Group. The opposition leader says that he will not relent in his bid to protect Kenyans from any illegitimate rule, and that starting next week, the protest will be conducted every Mondays and Thursdays.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga today congratulated the media for covering the Azimio mass protest that took place yesterday in various parts of the country. Odinga also acknowledged his supporters for heeding to his call and showing up for the demonstrations.
We wish to take this early opportunity to thank our supporters and patriotic Kenyans who turned out in large numbers to salvage our country. Our country and our democracy are much stronger because of the unwavering resolve of these patriotic citizens of our country.
Odinga in his address also demanded the immediate release of Azimio leaders and supporters who were arrested yesterday during the Azimio mass action procession and detained in police stations. The opposition leader strongly opposed the action taken by the police, saying that the action to arrest protesters is violating their rights and that the constitution does not condone such actions.
Tatu, nataka kutoa laana kwa polisi ambayo walitumikiwa kwa njia mbaya kuangaisha wananchi na kutumia nguvu ambayo ilikuwa haina maana, ambayo ilisababisha vifo wa Kenya wengine wawili na hata vile vile ikafanya Wakenya wengi walipata majeraha.
The statement on behalf of Azimio.
He further added that he will not relent on his bid to protect Kenyans and that he will fight to the end until the government ends to their demands. Odinga has said that the protests will not be conducted every Mondays and Thursdays, starting next week until their demands are met.
In the second phase of our protests, in response to public demands, we shall now hold protests every Monday and every Thursday beginning next week. We call for the boycott of Safaricom, Kenya Commercial Bank, and Radio Africa Media.
Na Kenya Party leader Mother Karua on her part dismissed claims that the protests held yesterday were violent, claiming that it was the police who bullied and threatened the peaceful protesters.
Protesters do not have a monopoly of instruments of violence. That remains with the law enforcement agencies. That's why we are commending the many police officers who showed restraint, but cautioning the ones who deliberately broke the law that we shall deal with them in accordance with the law.
As Azimio leaders prepare for phase 2 protests come next week, the leaders have warned the police on interfering in the constitutional right of picketing. James Mureki Mwenda, KUTV.
Now, the chair of the Budget and Appropriate Committee, Ndindi Nyoro, presented a bill before the August House on division of revenue between the national government and the county government. While breaking down the report, Nyoro stated that the national government will receive 2.1 trillion shillings, with the county government receiving 385 billion Kenya shillings from the 3.6 budget estimate.
Kiharu, Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro, tabled the bill on division of revenue before the members of Parliament, where he stated that the country's budget is at an estimate of 3.6 trillion, with the money expected to be shared between the county government and the national government. The county government will be getting 385 billion and the national government getting 2.1 trillion.
It is the prerogative of this House, in conjunction with the Senate, again to allocate now this block figure that I'm going to give, that is a tune of 385 billion, to specific counties, that is 47 counties.
However, Ndindi Nyoro has pleaded with the county governments to enhance capacity to generate internal resources so as to generate their own funds instead of relying on the budget committee.
Mr. Speaker, also something else that our governors can check, which has been endemic, not just the making of the current governors. It is the issue of recurrent versus development. Majority of these monies that you are allocating today, Mr. Speaker, the huge proportion of the 385 billion, most of this money, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, is going into recurrence.
Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, on his part, has asked counties to invest the money in more productive sectors, urging the governors to account for the money given.
Finally, Honorable Speaker, we also must appeal to our governors to ensure that there is proper accountability of all the funds that are devolved to our counties.
The motion, which was supported by the members, drew concerns from some, including Sitok Member of Parliament Sigeth Francis, who requested the Budget Committee to fasten the process of disbursing the money to prevent delay of projects.
Mr. Speaker, the county government and the devolution have done a very great job in this country. And Mr. Chairman, most of the problems we have in this county governments is the late release of funds to the county governments.
Nyoro also reiterated that an additional 44 billion will be disbanded to the counties to aid in paying of salaries. Additionally, 100 million will be given to counties for construction of industrial parks. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
The Senate has introduced a bill on its second reading today that seeks to improve the education sector, including the vocational sector, in a bid to improve acquisition of skills in the country and ensure geographical specialization in terms of training. Joseph Cass with that report.
Senate has today discussed a bill on county vocational and training, which was proposed by Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang and seconded by Senator Beatrice Ogola. Senator Kajwang explained the nitty-gritties of the bill, saying it seeks to improve the training quality offered by training institutions in the country. Senator Kajwang says that the vocational training in the county levels has been abandoned and that it is time for the government to invest in this area. Kajwang says the control of these village polytechnics and homecraft centers should be left to county governments. He adds that the bill seeks to ensure trainees on specific courses acquire the same skills despite differences in their backgrounds.
People with intellectual capabilities, Mr. Speaker. If you want to tell your younger brother that I want to sponsor you to go to a village polytechnic to study plumbing, Mr. Speaker, they will not accept. But if you tell them that you want to take them to a commercial college somewhere on Tomboya Street, they'll probably accept, thinking that it is superior to the village polytechnic. And yet, in a strict reading of the 4th schedule of the Constitution, even these commercial colleges that we have mushrooming all over, and Kiambu is one area, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I second this bill basically because, Honorable Speaker, it addresses a core aspect of education that is devolved and that is core to our counties.
The bill proposes that county education ministers should be given power over the sectors and that the qualifications for trainers around the country remain the same. Senator Ledamo Lekina has, however, disagreed on the bill's aspect of regulation, saying that Kenyans have been overtaxed, thus discouraging small businesses.
In this country, so long as we've already regulated the training, not allow people to go and make their money. The problem we have in this country, Mr. Speaker, is that we are in love with taxation. We overtax people. Recently, Mr. Speaker, sir, I got a call from CHEPKOECH telling me that, oh, in your manufacturing of milk, we now want you to start paying another levy in terms of taxes.
Vocational training centers. Vocational training centers are the breeding ground that feeds into the TVETs and the national polytechnics, Mr. Speaker. If we left it as it was, Mr. Speaker, then there was no clear career path for those who are beginning trainings in this trade, Mr. Speaker, to know where they're headed.
The bill, which is now in its second reading, awaits the decision of the House on whether it should be adopted into law or not. Joseph Kes, KUTV.
Now, Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja today brought together leaders from different sectors in Nairobi County at Charter Hall in Nairobi to lay out their work plan in the next 100 days, at the same time identifying their accomplished development projects since they joined the administration. Some of the plans tabled are provision of clean water in Mathare and planting of 10,000 trees within a period of 90 days.
Officials representing different sectors joined Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja at Charter Hall in Nairobi today to discuss development projects of Nairobi County and their set goals to achieve in the next 100 days. At the same time, citing the already accomplished development projects in the county. Some of the projects which has been completed include installation of lights in Ngara Road, Magadi Lane and Gate Lane, while installation of security lights is ongoing in Gong Road, Ring Road heading to Parklands and Outer Ring Road. Also, Juja Road. The laid down plans include planting of 10,000 trees within a period of 3 months, increasing solid waste from 2,500 tons to 3,000 tons, and increasing the number of community-based organizations up to 425. Provision of safe drinking water to Mathare and Embakasi East constituencies to prevent cholera infections, and increase enrollment of trainees in vocational training centers. At the same time, Governor Sakaja has said that there shall be no hawkers business along Moi Avenue to reduce congestion and ease movement along the road. Apart from the planned work layout, Nairobi County Government is responsible in repairing the damaged roads in Nairobi Central Business District during yesterday's demonstrations by Azimio One Kenya Alliance allies, which according to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua led to 2 billion shillings loss. Mutunga Joseph, KUTV.
Moving on, Meru County Assembly has approved the 7 ministers and the 7 County Executive Committee CEC members who took an oath of office today. Their names were presented by Governor Kawira Mwangaza after 3 ministers were approved and others were rejected by the County Assembly last month when there was a disagreement between the governor and the ward representatives. Governor Mwangaza has said that the citizens of Meru will now receive the best services from the county government. Mwangaza also asked the ministers to provide monthly reports on their performance in their respective ministries. The MCAs have said that they are ready to work with all the leaders so as to achieve full development in Meru County.
I, Dr. George Gikunda Mungania, do swear solemnly affirm that I shall always truly and diligently serve the people and the public of Kenya in the office of the County Executive Committee Member of Health Services.
Governor ni mama, itakuwa tofauti sana. We will be expecting monthly reports from every waziri and every chief officer. Amefanya nini Meru County kwa ofisi yake in a very serious way, because I have a team now. For the last 5-6 months I've been going around all alone with only 3 mawaziris, but today I thank God because I have a full team of 10 waziris.
Ours is to congratulate the persons who have been nominated to those positions and wish them all the best. I believe this has been achieved after the unity talks that we had with the governor and after the commitment between the assembly and the executive.
All right, 22 minutes past the top of the hour. We are taking a very fast short break at this point. Of course, up next is our interview on the state of the nation. Stay with us.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Siki nice tujinise weke story. Kata maji pia shada liko nasionikosa msupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni nini.
Big up, sis, big up, shows, mama, big up, oh yeah, wase wote, okay, my principal, big up.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the Retro Tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day, only on KUTV, a new experience.
Kazi tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia
kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili
bila uoga. Watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pipopa si vuguvugu. Pipopa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for a discussion of the night. Of course, we are talking about the state of the nation. Kendi, I will let her tell us more about who she is, just right about now. But first, before we dive right into that, I understand that Irene Kendi is so much into girl child empowerment, if I'm not wrong, and that is women and children. Karibu sana to studio, Kendi. Glad to have you here with us.
Thank you, Anne.
Now, kindly tell our viewers, who is Irene Kendi?
Irene Kendi is a lawful Kenyan citizen, is a patriotic Kenyan.
Yeah.
I'm a lady who stands for justice and truth, and I'm a women and youth rights advocate. I sit in the National Youth Advisory Board as a director. I'm also an author, a renowned mentor, and a public speaker. Yes.
All right, Kendi, I would just want to involve you just a little bit before we get so much into Irene Kendi as a person. Let's talk about now the heat of the moment. That is what the country is going through right now. Let's just start with Azimio protests that we saw yesterday. What do you take of them?
Protesting, demonstrations, and picketing is a constitutional right of any country in this world. But it must be done diplomatically, professionally, and it should be done in an orderly manner. The protests were fair yesterday, but we saw a lot of economic breakdown. Students are going back to school, and most of the parents tensed. You saw a lot of damage of people's property. you saw a lot of young people rioting, being beaten by the police, and even a comrade died at Maseno University. And those are not the kind of demonstrations personally I stand for. Those are not the kind of demonstrations personally I support, because we are losing a lot, and it is sabotaging the economy of this country. If there has to be demonstrations, let them be ran constitutionally and in an orderly manner and the right way. Where we don't have loss of property, we don't have business closed down, and we don't have loss of lives. How do you feel as a parent if you lose your child in a demonstration? That is a comrade maybe who felt, I need to support the demonstrations. Yes, they are right or they are wrong. And then at the end of the day, you end up dying. And maybe you are confronting the police, you are trying to, that can spirit young people. And personally, I feel these demonstrations are not out of goodwill of this country.
Really? So when you say that as you are for peaceful protests, we saw these protests in a country like South Africa, but they were peaceful. Then when we come to Kenya, we see the battle between police and the Kenyan citizen. What really do you think is the problem?
That's why I talked about order. In every battlefield, the chief army guy in a protest, you must put your soldiers in order. You must give them directions. But here in Kenya, the kind of protest I saw and the ones that I've seen severally is whereby you just let people go and tell them, chafua. You understand? And people will chafua. People are frustrated. The cost of living is high. We don't refuse that the economy of this country is sinking. We can't refute that the cost of living is high. There are people in this country who have nothing to lose, including their lives. And these are the people that the rioters or the organizers of riots target. I was a student leader at the University of Nairobi. I led so many demonstrations in this country, but they were very peaceful. And as a ringleader, I always told comrades, there are 3 rules. Don't destroy anyone's property. Don't confront the police. And we would write a letter to Central Police Station, to the OCPD of the area, and say tomorrow we'll be picketing in this country. And we would have very peaceful demonstrations. And at the end of the day, we achieve what we want. A good example is in 2014 during fee increment saga. You remember the Kaimenyi fee increment stuff? It is there in Babu Wino and a few student leaders in this country who led mass demonstrations in this country. They were very peaceful. We never destroyed anyone's property. No one was killed. And at the end of the day, we achieved what you wanted. You don't need to be forceful. You don't need to kill people. You don't need to thrash the government of the day, to push the government of the day to the corner so that you can get what you want. There are so many ways of dialogue. But in this protest also, you can see it is interest of the few. And Kenyans, what they don't know, and I'll tell them the truth if I die. These demonstrations have totally nothing to do with Kenyans and cost of living. It has everything to do with a few cartel of men and women who want to protect their property, their businesses, and who feel that we must cause disconfusion, discomposure of spirit of the sitting government. And personally, I would urge young people, if you want to go for protest, go for protest on education sector, improvement, reforms of education sector. But if the demonstrations were about increment of hustler fund, easy access of hustler funds, fees, decreasing the fees that you can see it is skyrocketing in this country. Things that involve you as a young person, go fight spiritedly, go kabisa and be there. But you are fighting blindly because I've been given some few coins. Someone just bought you booze, and look at the rioters. But the Azimio opposition leader, Raila Odinga, on Sunday mentioned that one of the reasons that they are going to protest is because of the increased school fees, amongst them the cost of living, and those are the things, of course, the IEBC and reconstruction, the constitution, and they want the servers opened. And if you're saying that they should be protesting because of the school fees, well, that is one of the reasons why they were having those protests. Let me tell you a good protester. I am a very good protester and a very good organizer of protests. We have not seen the Azimio the Azimio opposition leader and his team write a letter to the ministry because for you to push for any reforms, you must have you must write a letter with the solutions. The opposition leader could have said, in this country, these are the proposals that we have as Azimio. And the proposal is, the fees for a comrade university is 100,000 per year, which is very expensive for a common mwananchi, for a hustler. So we are proposing every child should pay 30,000. And there is money here that men and women are pocketing in this country through corruption. There is money that is here and here. This money, let it be consolidated and brought here to do this and this. Have you seen something of that sort? It is talking, and this is luring. It is luring the young comrades to come on board.
Yeah, right. But if, as of now, do you think their demands were really met? The demands that they took to the streets yesterday, and that they are planning to take to the streets. They say they're going back to the streets every Monday and Thursday starting next week. As of now, do you really think their demands were met?
You know, when you want something, there are so many ways of getting it. It's like wanting to kill a rat. You can even decide to burn a whole house to kill a rat. At the end of the day, what you want is a dead rat. First of all, you have to understand the sitting president and his deputy. These are not just light-hearted men. They are not pushover. They are not pushover. But one thing I know about the current regime, they embrace dialogue. And as I said, I know too much, and I don't want to talk too much. But they know what can be achieved and what can't be achieved. And these gentlemen are pushing for opening of servers. You know, it's like having an ex who dumps you or who leaves you and are still pushing that, tell me what I did wrong. If you are left, you are left. The elections are over. We are now in the 6th month after the elections. We have a new government. Me, if I were the opposition leader, I would the first thing accept that you have a new president in place. Baba has been complaining from history since when I was a kid. You know, you can't do the same thing decade in, decade out. And I wish Baba could sit down and go back to the boardroom and go back to the drawing board with a good team of thinkers of this country and formalize opposition. Opposition is a very sweet place to be in a government, as long as it is sober. Baba is a fighter. Baba is a Democrat, is a man who has fought for the democracy of this country and don't refute. But the problem is some cartels who are trying to tell Baba this, Baba that, Baba. And Ruto said very well, you gentlemen, I'm ready to listen to you, but we must do things in a sober manner. We must look at the economy of this country. We must, and at the end of the day, you must accept it that I'm the president of this country. You can't refute that I'm the sitting president. You say I'm illegally seated, and this is opposition, and again, you want me to listen to you. You must first of all accept that things went the way they went. And I am the sitting president. You are the leader of opposition. How can my office as a president support the opposition? How can we empower the opposition so that you can have the opposition checking on the government? Because the role of opposition is to check, is to be the watchdog of citizens. But now see, men and women are pushing for different agendas. And I can tell you, their demands have not been met, and I'm afraid to say their demands will not be met the same way they are pushing it.
All right, but they are now taking this protest now to 2 times a week. We saw how the businesses across the country, especially in Nairobi and Kisumu, were at a standstill. What really do you think should be done to just bring harmony and let citizens go back with their lives?
What can be done can only be done by His Excellency Ruto and his deputy Gachagua. But what I can say as a person, if I were given a role to advise the citizens, is to tell the citizens, do what you do on a daily basis. Protect your businesses. As citizens, you have a role to play in this. I have a role to play in this. At the end of the day, this is our country, especially the young people. We are the generation that will inherit this country. And I will tell young people that let us not watch this country go down. You saw tourists going back to their countries. We have lost jobs. I saw someone really crying that she had booked over 300 tourists to go to Masai Mara, and she had returned their money. What do you do in such a scenario? We have a lot of issues of mental health in this country. You die of depression. You have loans. Then you lose money going because of protests. Me, I will, if I were the president, I'll tell Raila, tell me genuinely, what do you want? Also, you are a statesman. Advise me, because at the end of the day, even Ruto and Gachagua can tell Raila, you have a lot of experiences in this country, is older than them. What do you think we should do? And you know, it is a battle of egos as well.
Yeah.
It is a battle. It is a supremacy battle of egos. And until these men agree, and you remember, Ruto said, "I'm not ready for handshake."
Opposition too, I say they're not ready for handshake.
No, they are ready for it. I can assure you, they're ready for it. Only that you push for something that can't be achieved overnight. During Uhuru's tenure, you saw the handshake happen. But what happened to this country? We need opposition, by the way, in this country. Personally, I support the opposition in this country, but a sober opposition, of which even Ruto said, I can't run a government without opposition. I need you guys. And even as citizens, we need the opposition. But let us not destroy people's lives. Let us not do these demonstrations by destroying and putting the country into a standstill. We will lose. Ruto lives in Karen, in State House. Gachagua lives in Karen. Raila lives in Karen. Where do you live? These men will come with armored cars, chocha us. When kikiumana mtu aruke kwa helicopter aende kwake, wewe utaenda kupigana na askari na rungu na wezi huku akikuibia. So it is also us as young people, as the citizens of Kenya, that also have to bring a third voice and say, we are tired. We don't want this. We don't want this.
All right, thank you so much for your sentiments on just partly about the state of the nation, and that is really just about the Azimio mass protest that is hitting the headlines at the moment. I guess you understand, but now I would just want to know more about you now as a person, the Mamre Foundation, as we wind up.
Yeah, Mamre Foundation was birthed back in 2019. I'm a philanthropist.
Yeah.
If you read my book that I launched last year, you will see a story of possibility in one person. I have come from far myself. At the university, I studied with my son. I was the first deputy president of SONU. I was Babu Wino's deputy at the University of Nairobi. And I advised Francis Atwoli. I was working with Professor Kidure Kidiki. I have worked with Mithika Lintori. I have worked as an advisor to Professor Margaret Kobia, and now I sit as the director of National Advisory Board. And I realized as a person, I am living my purpose. I have achieved a lot that looked impossible. 10 years ago, I was a market girl. I used to sell in the market. And I came to the university with my son. I used to attend classes with my son. My son is the youngest comrade in this country. He did his degree when he was 2 years old up to 6 years old, because I graduated with him. He's now in Form 1. And I felt after high school, I enjoyed market, where I stayed for 6 years before joining university. And I really struggled to put my own school fees in place. And I made my first million at the age of 24.
Wow.
And I came to the university with my money, and I felt there's a lot of gap among the young people, especially girls who come from destitute families. My father had rejected us because we were girls. That's why, forget about everyone doing about women empowerment and culture. For me, it is too personal, because when we were born, my dad rejected my mother and us because we were girls, and she couldn't give birth to boys. So that is the passion I have to ensuring that girls have quality access to quality education. That is what birthed Mamre Foundation. And from my book, I realized the sales from my book I give to charity, and I support purposely education. And I'm so passionate about leadership and governance for women, especially inclusion. You can see the patriarchal nature that you have in this country and Africa at large. I'm determined to crush that plate of patriarchy. And that is why I started a foundation where I can mentor young women, where I can empower young women, where I can lend my voice to young women. And that is what, as a foundation, we do.
You stand for. You say you stand for women and leadership. At the moment, do you think there's gender parity maybe in leadership right now in the country?
We are not yet there, but we are not where we were. And I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful in the next few years to come, with the people like Mamre, likes of Kina Cecily Mbarire, likes of, we have women who are there who are really mentoring also the young women, and you can even say at the universities. I don't know whether you have come across a movement I started called KUFSLA, Kenya Universities Female Student Leader Association. It is a movement that I founded myself when I was a student leader, and I brought young women together from more universities to advocate for inclusion of women at the university and the national level. So I still advocate for agitation of women, for building of women, movement of women, because these men will not leave the space for you just because you are women.
All right, thank you so much, Irene Kendi, for making time for us tonight. I trust that we will be having this conversation outside this discussion. You have heard that is Irene Kendi with us in studio. We are taking another short break at this point. We're coming back with more, so stay with us.
Okay, easy. Okay, I'm still.
Out of my life.
And lose Nambi? How did I get myself into this mess?
What is going to be a problem? Then you will have to pay me every single shilling.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box. The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked, make sure we keep fit, and that's it from me to you.
Hello everybody! I'm Nana. And I'm Gigi. Welcome to Engine Season 2! The place to find out about the world we live in and the creatures that we share our planet with. Join us on the most exciting adventures across the African continent. See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes, and out of this world technologies. Meet incredible scientists and learn fantastic facts. Explore, discover, be amazed. Be part of the next generation of African change makers. Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay!
We're learning every day. Engine leads the way.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, the 21st of March is the World Down Syndrome Day. The day is set aside by the United Nations as a day to create awareness about Down syndrome. The United Nations estimates that 1 in every 1,000 to 1,100 live births in the world is a Down syndrome child. Doctors say that children born with Down syndrome have a chance of living a normal life. Here is that special feature by Yvonne Kemuma.
According to the United Nations, it is estimated that approximately 3,000 to 5,000 children are born with Down syndrome every year. And while the disease occurs by chance, mothers above 35 years are more likely to give birth to Down syndrome children. But first, what is Down syndrome, you may ask? Down syndrome is a genetic condition in which a child is born with an extra copy of chromosome 21. Normally, a child is born with 46 chromosomes instead of 47. The presence of the extra chromosome affects brain and body development. Usually, the affected children grow up with characteristic features such as flat facial features, a short neck, small ears, hands and feet, one crest in the palm of the hand, and at times the child grows up to be shorter than usual. At Bariko Industries, we meet 24-year-old Ivan Rono. Ivan was born with Down syndrome, and as his mother Eunice Koros describes him, he is a perfectionist who is meticulous with his personal stuff, and owing to his condition, he is slow and takes his time with things.
Whatever he does it to its, to the most, perfectly. You teach him something and he gets it, and he will not get it from another person. I would say, for example, we use electric gadgets, we use gas and all this. So whenever I get a new gadget, say a cooker, the first thing I do is to show him how to do it, and he will not forget, and he will use it.
We join Ivan in his daily trade, where he works as a machine operator at Bariko Industries. The firm specializes in stationery, and for Rono, his task lays in stitching the exercise books using a machine. His parents say his routine is almost always the same, and he is able to handle them independently. First, he signs in at the front desk, then goes ahead to grab his overalls and gloves before he heads on to his workstation to attend to his day's duties. His father, who at this point is also his employer, informs us that Ivan understands how to operate other machinery.
The most important thing about him is that the time that he sits and does work, he does it without diversion, without other things. So they tend to be very meticulous, they tend to concentrate, they don't have other side things. We brought him to work with us, and he has a good ability to learn, right? So we put him into a number of areas to try, and eventually one of the areas that now he does is that he works as a machine operator, and he does stitching of exercise books with a stitching machine. So his daily job is that he walks in the morning, puts on his machine, cleans his machine, sets up himself, and continues to do his work as per the way the books are coming in.
According to Dr. Martha Gatumbu, children with Down syndrome have the capabilities to grow up and lead normal lives with the right foundation.
The ideal situation should be a child with Down syndrome is diagnosed early, and once they're diagnosed early with Down syndrome, we need to look for the life-threatening defects that can be managed. So specifically, we would like to do an echocardiogram to rule out congenital heart defects. And if the congenital defects are there, we need to refer them for treatment as soon as possible. That is surgical repair of the holes. If they have any low thyroid hormone levels, we need to give thyroid hormone replacement. And generally, once we have dealt with any life-threatening diseases or morbidities they may have, this child needs to start occupational therapy as soon as possible, because this helps improve their muscle tone, and they can be able to catch up in terms of their milestones with other children.
Children with Down syndrome are susceptible to several birth defects, among them heart diseases, hypothyroidism, slow developmental milestones, and they tend to have intellectual disabilities. Ivan happens to be among those who make it to adulthood, but his journey so far has had its own fair share of complications.
Okay, well, one of the biggest challenges he has had in his life is about the eyes. He had developed what's called a cornea, challenges with the cornea, which eventually led to cornea transplant for both of his eyes.
As Dr. Martha advises, early diagnosis and medical care will help in identifying any life-threatening condition, which then can be addressed as the child develops. Occupational therapy is also administered to increase muscle tone for the patients. And while Down syndrome is unpredictable and only occurs by chance, Dr. Martha explains to us some of the predisposing factors.
Yes. So in the literature, it's been documented to occur in elderly women that's above 35 years, women who are multiparous, so many, meaning they have a higher birth order. That means if the woman is on her 5th or 6th or 7th pregnancy, and mostly those, but we are finding that it can still occur in women under 35, and it can still occur in women who are of a lower birth order.
At Down Syndrome Society of Kenya, we meet Lucy Mombo, the society's national coordinator, who was also a Down syndrome mother. Lucy, who started the Down syndrome journey in 2003 with the birth of her daughter Neema, tells us of her journey with Down syndrome and how even with the demise of her daughter Neema, she still wishes to help other Down syndrome parents in an effort to ease the journey.
We journeyed for 2.5 years, and she had a heart condition. I took her to India, and she had her surgery, and after 8 months, she passed on. After we came back, after 8 months, she passed on, and that was 2005. But I've continued with Down Syndrome Society of Kenya because I know the journey, and for me, I say I have started and finished, but that doesn't mean that I quit the organization. I'm there to hold other hands, people, and guide them through the journey.
Established in 2003, Down Syndrome Society of Kenya is a non-profit disabled person organization that works for the rights and welfare of persons with Down syndrome. As Lucy explains to us, the society is actively fighting stigma and discrimination while championing for inclusion of Down syndrome children.
25th March, the history of Down Syndrome Society of Kenya, we always have fun on our day because, one, as I told you, there's stigma and there's discrimination. Most of our children, you see a parent will be told, come for my child's birthday or come for my wedding, but don't come with that child. So we call it our day. But we invite others. So we celebrate as much as we do, as we can.
According to Lucy Mombo, persons with Down syndrome are registered under the National Council of Persons with Disabilities. Special cases also get funding of about 2,500 shillings, which at times may not be enough. Yvonne Kemuma, KU TV.
All right, now let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Crystal Palace has confirmed that Roy Hodgson has been appointed manager until the end of the season. Paddy McCarthy will take the role of assistant manager, with Ray Lewington returning as first team coach. Dean Kelly will remain in his position as goalkeeping coach. Former England team manager will take over the managerial role from Patrick Vieira, who was sacked on Friday last week as a result of poor performance. The Eagles have 10 games left in the Premier League and are currently 3 points above third bottom West Ham, who have 2 games in hand. Elizabeth Diego has vowed to light up the Indira Gandhi Sports Complex in New Delhi, India, when she takes on her opponent Fariza Shotley of Kazakhstan in the quarterfinals of the International Boxing Association (IBA) championships tomorrow. Beg your pardon. The Kenyan is one of the 3 African boxers who have cruised to the quarterfinals of the Premier Global Showpiece, and Diego is carrying the hopes of the entire nation that is depending on her to save the blush that has been occasioned by the elimination of other Kenyan boxers in the preliminary bouts. Team Kenya won their first Women's World Boxing Championships in 13 years after Christine Ongare defeated Tanzania's Rahma Maganga. That's a wrap from us here at the News Desk. Many thanks indeed for keeping us company. Be sure to stay tuned for our subsequent bulletins. Of course, that will be tomorrow. My name is Anne Odida. I'm in the company of RUTH CHEPKOECH, who's a sign language interpreter tonight. Have a good night and see you next week, inshallah.